you guys unpack? This is Dre.
This is Rich, and today we got the homie.
And
Funny story regarding ads. So remember we talked about that first episode that never quite aired. So
that was me. I mean, I was it.
that was ads. We might at some point.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. We really shouldn't air it. I mean,
Bro, that's gonna be in the archives just in case.
Just in case somebody runs for office and we want to like blackmail them.
Right,
Sure,
exactly. Right, in case I need a job.
I mean, like cancel culture.
Like Dre, remember when you said?
And I'm look.
We're gonna stop there.
I'm not even going to do it while you're running. I'm gonna wait to make sure that you got the position. You'll get a text message like, "Yo, it's gonna have all it's gonna say is hashtag." And that'll be
That's exactly what it's gonna be.
That's gonna be the whole message.
That better get bleeped out when this airs on Wednesday.
Because
people will know what that means.
That's gonna be written at the
Yes.
See, and here we go again. All right,
Anyway,
we'll bleep it out.
Anyway,
We'll
guys.
bleep it out.
Oh, we're definitely leaving it out.
We'll bleep it out.
It's warm outside. Let's keep on moving.
Like it's warm. It's the spring of deception.
You all right over there, big guy?
I almost choked on something.
It's warm. Yes, it is the spring of deception, but it is warm.
Right. You know what? I'm not mad that it's warm. The problem I have right now is that my allergies know it's warm.
Dude,
mine too.
For real, mine too.
And
Yo,
they showed up.
Yeah.
they've been on 1,000. It's been mainly my eyes, like the crust and the watery.
For me, I
don't like it.
I've been sneezing like
that's what I started
forever.
sneezing out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, and then the cherry blossoms are coming, which is great for photos,
Sure.
but
And you know the worst part of sneezing in these times, as I'm sure everybody knows,
People think you got
it's like
it's the Rona.
But no, what's even worse than other people like thinking it? You start second guessing yourself. You be like,
bruh, you start second guessing yourself.
Right.
You don't want to sneeze around people. You're like,
definitely don't sneeze around people.
You don't want people to look at you funny.
Right.
Then you have a mask on in public and you're about to sneeze. So it's like, do I take it off? Do I leave it on? Like, what?
I was in the grocery.
The inside of your mask is
Right. You're not, like, I'm not sneezing on the inside of my mask, but
gross.
I was in the grocery the other day and I had to hold in this cough, and it wasn't even like a real cough.
Like,
you know, like if you swallow, just like how you,
right.
I was like, I can't do it. I was like,
I had to clear my throat around people the other day. I just held it. I was
It's
just
just
like, I'll
like-
wait till I get in that.
dog, it's the worst.
I can't wait until this is over. And I know we're not near
I
that
was about
point.
to say we're nowhere
No,
near that point.
I'm not saying we are, but I can't wait for this to be a thing of the past, right?
Sure.
So that I just don't have to deal with the angst and the feeling of being when you're around people and having to do all of that. So
will it ever really be a thing of the past?
I
Like,
think
is
so.
they ever gonna be back to
the Spanish flu
the way it was
a way of the past at a certain point.
True.
When we die, it'll be a way of the past.
from Rona?
No. Come on,
Right,
man.
I'm sorry.
it's almost summer, yo.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Anyway,
So let's kick things off. The boy Jay-Z.
yep.
So he sold a part of Ace of Spades and Champagne.
Yep.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But still, he sold it in like a great deal where he like, I think it was Moet or whatever, were gonna like assist him with like increasing the distribution to levels that he was not able to reach.
Sure.
And he got to maintain like 50% control or something like whatever the deal was. I remember reading it and it was like, okay, this actually looks great.
Yep.
For Jay-Z in terms of like growth for the company.
Sure.
And then Tidal.
Yep.
Sold that to Square and Twitter. Jack Dorsey.
Yep.
Not everyone seems to feel like it was.
I don't give a fuck what anyone else has to think about his business deals.
Right.
Unless he's shitting on people. Mm-hmm. And from my understanding so far, he hasn't shit on anybody in these business deals.
Right.
But isn't the goal, if you're gonna have a business, you want it to be profitable, and the goal, you want to make money. So he got to a point where he was good with where he was at. He could sell it, make a profit, and then be in a better position because he's gonna be on the board.
I'll take it a step further. I think that there's also like good business is understanding when you can't take it any further than it can go.
Right,
and
exactly.
like he can have all the influence that he wants if he doesn't have the structure around him to actually elevate the business anymore.
Absolutely.
Then these are good business deals, right? Because some people, like, they have a company that doesn't need to be sold, and that's lovely to never need it because you continue growing.
Right.
For him, I mean,
so like
Champagne is not his business.
Right.
And neither is Title technically, but
So, like,
but he was able to use his influence to grow those two.
Right. So what what the issue that the individual had was, he basically said that Jay-Z was kind of leveraging.
Who's the individual?
I actually don't know his name. That's the funny thing. That's why I call him the individual.
Okay.
But it's a video.
Was it academic tool or what? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway,
he basically made it seem like, he said that basically Jay-Z, he acknowledged it was a great deal for Jay-Z, but he said Jay-Z was kind of leveraging the support for a black business. And then when he gets to a certain point, would sell it to the white man. So it would no longer be a black-owned company, all in here is violence right now. Right, but that's what I'm saying, right? So in his mind, and I'm not saying that he was right or wrong. I'm just saying he made it seem like, okay, if I'm telling you, hey, support me, I got this black-owned company, it's this black-owned business, you're supporting your own, and then you support me to a point, and then the first chance I get, I turn around and I sell it to a white person. Now it's like I leveraged that black power energy to make myself rich.
Sure.
And then ran with it. And honestly, that has been a knock. And I'm not saying it's a correct knock, but that has been a knock on Jay. Like, people were mad at the whole taking the deal with the NFL thing, right? When they were like, okay, you're going to tell people XYZ, don't do this with the NFL. Then they offer you a job and you decide to take it or whatever. And then people, so it's like, it has been a recurring criticism of Jay-Z.
So I think that there's a problem with looking at any of these things without all the details, first and foremost. But,
absolutely.
But aside from that, I think there's also this issue that a lot of us have where we don't consider that there's room for both people's points of view to be there, right? So let's take the NFL deal. I work for a company who, I would say, like Jay-Z, sometimes has to work with other companies that the public may not particularly like for whatever reason, right? Here's the thing, though. If we want change, right, the only true way to get change is from the inside. Right. People complaining from the outside, yeah, you might get like little change here. All right, well, you mad at this professor? All right, you mad at this person? Cool. I'm gonna appease you real quick, but it doesn't change the culture. In order to really change culture, you have to do it from internally. And if Jay-Z taking a job with the NFL, and I'm not saying this is actually what happened, but if Jay-Z taking the job with the NFL is able to actually affect change from inside, then that's a plus to me, right? The same thing with the title deal. If people are upset with him because, which I never heard him actually say that you should support like me because I'm black. So yeah, there's one piece of that. Sure, I'm going to support you because you're black, but I also am going to support you because you bring a good business proposition to me, right? Like, I'm not supporting you just because you're black, right? Like that would be like me voting for Ben Carson just because he's black. I wouldn't.
No.
Right? Like,
right.
I'm gonna consider it because you're black, but then as soon as you open your mouth and I realize that you're really just good at surgery, I'm gonna stick to you being surgery.
Right. I'm gonna come to you if I need my conjoined twins separated.
Right.
That's it. You know what I mean? So like, so for the title deal, like, I think that, hey, if this was the time for him to sell, it's time for him to sell. But from my understanding, all the people who we brought on board with titles still have a stake in the company. So the sale of it doesn't negatively impact the people who supported him. So I don't get where the issue is.
Like, so, but if you think about it, all the people that are saying that this is a bad deal or he did a what they call a bait and switch on the black support, if they were in that same position,
they would take it.
Would they take it?
Well, that's the thing.
Because I would.
They would never be in a position because they're not billionaires. Like, let's be, but they don't have a billionaire mindset.
But that was the next part of it. Let's be real. I don't know if they would take it, but I also feel like them not taking it may just be their route. That may be the thing that it's kind of like when you talk, keeping it on Jay-Z, you talk like Jay-Z and Dame Dash. Dame Dash is very strong on his the way he does things, right?
Right.
And he is successful in his own right. Now he's not
stop here.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. He has not achieved outside of Jay-Z the level that Jay-Z made it. He's successful in his own right.
Right.
But because he does things a certain way, that may keep him out of certain meetings and certain boardrooms and certain levels of success that he
it's knowing how to play the game.
Right. And honestly, for me, there's no knocking it. It's like you stand for what you stand for. So so what the guy was talking about was like, oh, he sold it to a white company. He didn't sell it to a black company. So like, give an example.
Is there a black company that could have bought it?
I don't know. So I'm just saying like this, right? If say I make $1 million, right, with my company, and I decide I want to keep it, I'm good with $1 million, and another company tries to buy me out, and I decide, you know what, I'm good because I don't want to
relinquish control or
right,
whatever it is.
Whatever, right? So I may never make it to 10 billion,
right.
to 10 million, but I'm good with $1 million and I'm happy with
sure.
where I am in life.
Sure.
So maybe for him,
right,
maybe he's saying, you know what, I would not have sold because I was not looking to move to that next level.
Right.
If it meant relinquishing certain things, I would rather just keep it. And that's
sure.
Everybody's goalposts and finish line is different.
The problem is, don't shit on Jay-Z because his vision is different from yours.
And,
you know
and aside
because
from
maybe
that,
he think different.
Right.
Well,
maybe
he definitely does. He's built different, right? Well, inside joke.
Built different.
But even with that though, right? So I can at least talk to the title piece. And granted, we don't know if it's a relinquishing control piece that whatever the guy was had a problem with. But even with his title deal, he sells, but he not only has a say, but he has a say at the square level.
Right. He got that's the thing. He got into square. So that's
he's on the board.
And that's the thing back to what you would
which is way more powerful than what he would have done at title.
Right. And that's goes back to like the NFL deal. A lot of people were like, oh, you sold out to to the NFL after what they did to Kaepernick and blah blah blah. And it was like they didn't like, I remember this for a fact, they didn't like when he said it's not about kneeling anymore when they asked him about that, right? They did ask him specifically about, and he was like, it's not about that anymore. And he explained what he meant, where he was like, I'm just saying we've knelt. Now what's the next step? Sure. But you know how the media is, or how social media is actually, they take the soundbite that they want to criticize. It's like, oh, what do you mean it's not about kneeling anymore? Or you get in there and you tap dance with them. But bottom line is, it's back to your point, like, okay, I can stand outside and complain, or I can at least come sit at the table where you may or may not listen. Now, I may sit at that table and you just have me here and you're not actually paying me, and then I can make a decision if I want to stay.
Roll. Right.
But I won't know if I don't actually step in the room.
And you wonder the irony? So everyone loves the line where he's like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Mm-hmm. This is the epitome of just that. Right. He's like, I'm not thinking about just me here. Right. I'm thinking bigger.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Let's move on.
So,
I mean, you're right.
Good job for Jay-Z.
Right.
Like, and their family, like, make them bills.
Bruh. While we're on the topic of black and white stuff, which seems to be a recurring theme here.
I mean, that is the fabric of the United States of
America. Honestly, it is the way the country was made. And so we're gonna take it overseas for a little bit.
Okay.
Old double M, Megan Markel.
Right. Well, I mean, we're an extension of overseas, so
yeah.
You think about it.
We're the children that left and never came back home.
The rebellious children, right?
So apparently I did not know this. The British royal family might be a little racist.
Are they?
I would have never known.
Neither, bro.
Apparently, the original colonizers, were not happy that a half black woman had a quarter black child in their family. And let's be real, like
they thought that the baby was gonna come out looking like you, bro.
Right, bro. Let me before
Michael Blackson.
Right. Before I say another thing, let me be clear, right? Because I know I don't want anyone to hear the tail end of this and think the wrong thing, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't care about the whole colorism aspect of a lot of this stuff, because I'm like, I understand that in society, if you're half black, you're considered black, right? Like, I know there are people who believe, who don't think like that. There are people who are like, nope, they're not black, they're biracial, whatever.
Those are typically the ones who can pass as white.
Right. And no, like, I know some black people who are like, they do not consider interracial people black, because they said, no, they're interracial, they're mixed, they're half white. And
you mean outsiders?
Right, right, outsiders, right? And that to me, I don't care one way or the next. So I'm not.
Fuck them.
Right. I'm not. My thing is not. But I'm just like thinking about people like Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, Halle Berry.
They're all just as black as we are.
Right. Right. So Meghan Markle, I understand her mom is black, her dad is white, so she's considered a black woman for all intents and purposes. I'm not debating that, right? Now, to get to what I was gonna say, right?
I'm scared.
If I saw a picture of Meghan Markle, right, and did not know who she was, or saw her in passing, she's a white woman in my mind, visually.
Really?
Yeah. Like on first glance, because I'm gonna tell you, when I saw a picture of her, not knowing who she was, I was like, I thought he was marrying a black chick, and they were like, right.
Really?
Yeah, no.
I knew her
that
from
was-
Suits. So like,
And I'd never watched Suits.
okay,
I never watched it either, but if I looked at her without knowing who she was, I wouldn't automatically think she was a white woman though.
I immediately
I put it this way.
put it like this.
So
No.
I could tell she's either mixed or
Right,
she's
so
of another race, but she's definitely not white.
Let me tell you. Put it like this. I never until when I was told that she was, I was like, oh, okay, I can see it. But if I was to when I just saw a picture,
Sure.
that was it. It was like, okay, just
Oh, the white chick.
right. Didn't give it a second thought,
That's
right?
fair.
So when you look at like just marrying into the British royal family, right?
Right.
Her complexion is probably for the queen in them what even let her get
Sure.
to the dating phase. Like, because I'm gonna tell you, let's be real.
I'm only gonna pause you for a second. I know we're working on
no,
this.
Good.
I'm gonna say this. After watching the interview,
Mhm.
and we don't know how true it is, they
Right.
could have been on show, whatever. But
Right.
watching the interview, apparently the queen was the only one who was actually supportive of her grandson and Meghan.
Right. No,
in general. So like
Yeah.
so I don't think the issue for color would have come from her.
Right.
I think
No.
the issue would have been coming from like daddy,
Yeah.
brother, and everybody else.
But when I say the queen,
So long live the
right,
queen.
Right. He's talking about Queen Beyonce. Don't worry about it. I know.
Queen Elizabeth
So-
II.
So when I was like, when I say the queen, obviously
mhm.
I'm talking about the royals, but
The-
I'm
the
so
monarchy.
used to right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it like this. Yo, if that was a dark-skinned chick, they would have had to elope. They would have never gotten a royal wedding.
I'll take it a step further than that.
I mean,
like,
I agree with you. Like, she wouldn't have gotten that far.
there probably would have been
It's
a
a
hit
s-
taken on her. Like,
Right.
on the real.
If she was not,
There might have been a car crash.
and this ain't no,
Come
this
on,
ain't
dog.
no, this is
Too
no,
far.
bro.
I-
I'm
I-
just
I-
saying,
I-
like,
Think about if
too far is kind of right.
There have been rumors that there
True.
has been a car crash as
Yeah, I
a
know.
result
Yeah,
of the
I know.
royal
I know.
family for a white woman.
Right, and she was white.
She was
White.
White.
And not only that,
Right.
like the entire world loved Diana.
Love
This is true.
Diana.
This
And
is
so here's this woman who was half white,
Sure.
and very light,
Yes.
and your husband is
Ginger.
completely white,
A
a
ginger.
ginger. So this child is going to be 75% white.
Yes.
So even the notion of like, and we don't know who asked her because
Sure.
they're not saying who did, but
Right.
even for someone to ask like
What
to be worried about the
complexion is
complexion, I'm
yeah.
like,
Right.
well, look at me and look at him.
Right.
Like, and you see what so it's like to show, and I'm,
It's a valid question though, and well,
Here's
let
why-
me
I'm
not
gonna
say
say- here's why it's not-
valid question.
right,
Like,
right,
let me backtrack that.
Right.
It's not valid. It's not valid. But from a genealogy standpoint though, even if you come out like super light skinned,
Mhm.
because like
no, I know exactly
You know where
where
I'm
you're
coming
going.
from.
Right,
Okay,
I know exactly
okay.
where you're going. Right.
Okay.
Here's what I'm saying though. Right. You shouldn't even worry about that.
Right.
But let's say you are worried about that. Right. To have the audacity to like
ask the
to
question.
ask it
Yeah.
of
Right.
someone of when
But that's entitlement though. White people
Right.
have a lot of it.
and they're the original they're
Like,
They're right.
the original entitlement.
So right, they're the original colonizers, the
Right.
original entitlement. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they come from a place of whatever they want is theirs. So they don't step into these conversations a lot of times, even considering that what they're asking is offensive, because
to them,
who cares?
Because to them it's not.
it's not offensive. It's like it's a matter of I'm checking.
I'm really curious.
Right.
Yo,
I don't know. But I know we're talking about the colorism part of this
Okay.
interview.
Yep.
And I know you didn't want to watch the whole thing.
no.
Okay.
I
You
watched
wa-
the
you
whole
watched
thing.
the whole thing.
thing.
I watched the whole thing.
Mhm.
To me, I think the biggest thing that I took from it when Meghan Markle said, she trusted them, okay, and she wished that she hadn't. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's like,
Yeah, that was
she-
that's on her, though.
like I think you look at it from that standpoint. It's like the bigger issue is like how this black woman, because she's black, if
She's
she's
black.
if
Yeah,
she's half black,
Right.
she's black.
Okay.
She got a drop of black blood in her.
and,
She
and
black.
how society really does not fuck with black women like that. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And
right.
especially the monarchy.
So I would say
You know,
for
like-
this one though, that's English society,
Yeah.
because I get where you're coming from. I do believe that globally black women
Yeah.
are not loved the way they're supposed to be.
Right.
But I think the backlash for all of this was from the English. Like
Mhm.
Americans are like, that's dope that
Right.
that the English are finally becoming a little more progressive, whether it's the case that they're fighting it or not.
Right.
But like, so I'm gonna tell you this. I realized how much I didn't give a fuck about like the monarchy watching the interview. Like I felt for her because I was like, that sucks that she's in this position, particularly because there's a point in the interview, I know you didn't watch it all, but she talks about wanting or needing help, right? Mental health.
Yeah.
Right? Mental health help. And she more or less was dismissed and told like, this is what we do.
Right.
We're used to this.
Right.
And to the point where they even go over like looking at a picture of her and Harry at some event, and everybody like they do a what Oprah sees, which is like, you look so elegant and so vibrant, and how she sees it, she's like, all I can see at this point in time is Harry squeezing my hand,
squeezing the knuckle,
right? Because she had talked to him about like struggling,
she wanted to kill herself,
and not feeling safe being alone, right? So it's like anytime that anyone has the ability to be vulnerable enough to say, yo, I need help, and then be brushed off like, nah, just deal with it. Like that in itself, I was like, that sucks. But that's a personal thing. That's a humanity thing for me. Like, it sucks for her, but I don't think the monarchy should even exist. So like,
this to me was like the definition of like I have first world problems, right? A lot of the time. This is this is like,
so
space age.
What's prior to first? Because like,
right, like that's what this is. like I have problems like, man, I got to park so far from the job today that I got to walk. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the stuff I'll deal with.
Right.
You're dealing with like, I was a part of the British royal family, but I didn't feel like a part of the British royal family. I didn't trust them to take care of me, and I'm not saying it to diminish. I'm just saying it like I had a hard time empathizing or sympathizing or caring.
I don't think any of us could actually empathize. So I think sympathizing is the perfect word.
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing. But even
I can't put my
but even with empathy, I had a hard time saying, man, how would I feel now that, nope, wouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I couldn't, there was no phrase I could find that made me care.
When I tell you how excited I was to like, and grateful rather, that's probably a better word. When
it was over?
You're stupid. No, but when she was talking about how like their main concern when they left, and came to I think they went to Canada first, and they moved, and they were in California,
and then Tyler Perry gave them a house to live in.
Yeah,
Tyler Perry and Oprah taking on the British monarchy.
Right. But the grateful part for me,
which is why I can't bring myself to care. I'm like, you flee the British monarchy to get a house from Tyler Perry.
No, Medea. Like,
and do an interview with Oprah.
Right. But like the grateful piece for me was there, and this kind of goes to what you were talking about, like clearly first world problems. Like their concern, and I hate to say it so flippantly, was the protection of their family.
Right.
Now, in my opinion, I don't think anybody wants to kill any of you guys. Like
and you know what?
In the U.S.
The cops?
You're stupid. Like, it's just stop.
I just got what he
said. Right, I was like, what are you talking about?
Like, where's the line?
I got it mad late, but I got it though.
But she can pass as white. So like, and he definitely is white. So like, there we are. But no, what I mean though is like outside of paparazzi, like there's really no need for protection.
Right. What you need protection from is, well, let's be real. What you need protection from, for the most part, paparazzi and
I'm waiting.
Maybe like crazed Brits who are like super obsessed with the monarchy.
But the crazed Brits like super excited about the monarchy, I don't believe live here.
They don't have to live here, dog. If you
mean like traveling?
Right.
Gotcha.
If you're super upset, dog.
That's fair.
I watched a Facebook argument where this chick was like she was so obsessed like with the Windsors.
Okay.
And I was like, they don't care about any of that, right? But she was like, and you could tell like she was from Britain, and she was just going in and like arguing with anyone who would question or dog.
So here's the thing, though, right? Like, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, because like I think we need to move down this, but like I feel like from a culture standpoint, like every ethnicity has culture, right? Typically, white people their
Steal
culture is imperialism. So yeah, stealing, taking other people's shit, right?
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me that there are certain people who are like in love with the idea of the monarchy because that's what they have, that's what they know.
Right.
We just don't care about that shit because we got better shit to care about.
But you know,
Jason
see,
Beyonce, dog.
here's the thing though. Like when you say like
Billions.
I think there's a good reason why people care about the monarchy and the royal family and all that stuff.
You say good reason?
I'm waiting.
I mean, listen. I mean, because sometimes it's like you are excited about something that's away from where you are. Okay, like
I got one.
we never would ever go to freaking Winterfell. Okay, we don't know nothing about Game of Thrones, but we watch it because it's like an escape. Sometimes the stuff you are that's happening over there, it's like you just want to kind of escape and say, okay, this is something I can think about.
Totally get it. Here's the only problem I have with it is like it'd be one thing if you told me it was fantasy. They're obsessed with it in a very real way because that's a very real thing.
Right. It is a very real
thing.
And what's crazier is like I started watching The Crown.
Yeah.
So I had heard about The Crown for like all of last year, and I was like, I'm just not interested in it. Clearly, the only reason I started watching is because of this now.
Yeah.
But part of it was because I was hearing little pieces of that interview, and I was like, I don't get what the problem is. So Megan Markel being a divorcee was a part of the issue, right? So I was like, why? So I started watching The Crown. I'm almost at the end of season 1.
How you like it? You hooked?
I wouldn't say I'm hooked, but,
like
but it's interesting.
Okay.
And for me, it's just like I'm a nerd when it comes to trying to understand context.
Okay.
So from that aspect of it, it's entertaining enough, and it includes enough of the historical context, like real historical context, for me to understand a little bit more. And so Harry, and I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but Harry is not actually the first one to do what has been done. Like his great uncle, so like the Queen Elizabeth II, her father wasn't supposed to be the king. Her father's brother was the king, and he decided to abdicate the throne because he was in love with somebody and thought that his love for that person was more important than love of country. So that was a whole scandal in itself. So then Elizabeth's dad became
coming to America, right?
You're so stupid. then Elizabeth's dad became the king, and then he died. And then of course Elizabeth became queen or whatever. So all that to say, like you start to get to understand a little bit more about how this works. So Elizabeth's sister Margaret, and again, there are probably people who knew this because they paid attention. Yeah, I just didn't care, and we were also super young. They were like this is like Winston Churchill time.
Right. Exactly.
Right. We weren't even thought of, right? But like Margaret, her sister, apparently wanted to marry a dude who worked for the crown, but he was a divorcee, and they like gave them shit for years.
And bro,
some of those things are just some of that stuff.
It's shit that like, I'm happy I never had to keep even consider.
And honestly, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I can't bring myself to care because I'm like, you're standing on that level of ceremony for some shit that's not real anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Like you are like England had like Boris Johnson for all intents and purposes. Runs England.
Right. Once there was a parliament established, like you're not real anymore.
Like all of this stuff that y'all are doing and all of this ceremony, when he said, do you know how to curtsy? I've been like, nope, I'm not about to learn. Like that would have been the end of it. That would have been the end of that.
Like on the real, like the monarchy.
Like first of all, I'm American. I'm not curtsying
like
to your queen.
If you really think about like the monarchy truly is somewhat like the super wealthy families of this country. So like the Carnegies. Or the Kennedys, right? Like it's like but the difference is like we don't hold them in esteem. Like
not only do we not hold them in esteem, we give them no official position in our lives
at all.
So like
we just like they were the birthers of certain industries.
Like Warren Buffett. While I would love to sit and learn from Warren Buffett, if he walks into a room, I don't have to bow at his presence.
No,
you know
not only do I not have to, I'm not going to.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to, but what I'm saying is, when the queen just like, not only you have to, and all this.
It's not an expectation.
There's no ceremony. Warren Buffett would be like, yo, you want a drink? You know what I'm saying? Like,
WB, let's talk about these stocks.
That's the conversation. Like there is no formality. I'm going to talk to you like a person, whether you respond or not. You know what I mean? With that, so all this there. It is all Winterfell in my mind. It's and I'm looking at you like you're not real. You're very rich. You're just not.
I'm just happy that they were able to get out.
Yeah.
Because really, we're like it's like the.
But in reality, the only thing that would have stopped him getting out was a car crash. So.
That's fucked up, dog.
So, but no, I'm truly glad they were able to get out, and now they can live normalized, and the irony is, right? Like
normal.
That's why I was literally going to this. The irony is that like
normal for them is still
normal for them is still better than our lives right now.
And not even just better.
Like I'm talking financially.
Yeah, that's what
I'm saying, like, is it better because I would never ever want to be in that level of like limelight,
scrutiny,
like
and that's what I'm saying. It's not
like I don't want to have to be on.
So
all the time.
The beauty for them though, in particular,
right,
is that like Harry was never going to be the king, unless his brother decided that he just wasn't gonna do it. Of course, after Charles died. So you know what I'm saying. So Harry was, and I think that's one of the reasons why Harry even has the disposition he does. He's like, nigga, I'm not gonna be the king. I don't give a shit about this.
He's Tommen.
Dog, he's like, I'm chilling, right? So between that and the fact that like that Megan is also not like an A-list actress, right? Like, I mean, she was good in Suits, but Suits was just an entertaining show on USA. You know what I'm saying? Like
that I've never
that you've never watched. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't believe that they're going to be so much in the limelight. I think now is a big piece right now because of everything going on. But at a certain point, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, that's just Harry and Meghan."
And here's
I don't agree.
Here's why I don't agree because I think they jumped into the limelight from the royal wedding, and from that point, it never really stopped because everything they did. Because remember, there was the point where the reporter like said that did the picture of her kid looking like a monkey or whatever. Like they've never left the limelight,
right? But they were part of the crown at that point. That's what I'm saying. Like, no, but that's what I'm saying.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So from then to now, they've still never fully left. And then when they probably had a chance to, they did an interview with Oprah. Like, so the chance that they probably had to like, yo, if we lay low and chill for a little bit.
But that's to extend the value of their new company. So.
Right, exactly. But you see my point?
Yeah.
They're never going to leave the limelight.
Like, what's going to happen is like they're in the limelight and then you're going to have people looking to see, you know what? Are they better off?
No, right.
Like they're gonna be like, you know what? Maybe they shouldn't have left. You know what?
They're never gonna.
And honestly, it's gonna be all kind of shit.
At the end of the day, no matter what you try to say, Prince Harry is still now living in the U.S. People are gonna care what he's doing.
Exactly.
So he's not a prince anymore, though.
That's why I gave the air quotes. But for all intents and purposes, right? You see what I'm saying?
He's still
he may not be he may not be heir to the fake throne, but he's still technically. You know what I'm saying? It's still very.
That throne is as real as the one Jay-Z was watching.
No, Jay-Z's throne was real. No. Stop it.
That was good. That was good.
I saw the wordplay, but stop it.
So, all right.
Fuck y'all niggas, man.
We coming back to the States. We back in the States, right?
Thank God. Man.
Georgetown, not even just back in the States. Georgetown Law.
Damn, we gotta talk about race again?
Here.
I mean,
it's necessary though. Let's talk about it.
I mean, like bruh. Yeah. Honestly, you know what the crazy thing was? I was thinking about on that topic, I was like, I'm so racismed out, right? And then every time I am racismed out, something happens in the news, and it's like, guys, we need to talk about it. Right, we need a new song. Like,
sure.
So,
Georgetown Law.
So the
professors
after they were teaching a Zoom class.
Right.
Once the class ended.
Right.
They were having a candid conversation to professors. Right. But the recording was still on. So even though the students had all left.
Right.
The recording was, and we're gonna talk about how Zoom has been
the worst.
So
we're gonna get back to that.
Before you continue, I want to know why the professors weren't who actually were in charge of the recording of the Zoom call.
Honestly, I don't know.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I didn't even think about that.
The fact that it was a student that was in charge of it.
Went to a student. Well, remember, because it was an adjunct professor, so they probably were not like permanent there. And so the person who was probably in charge of it was probably...
But it was still a student. And that's my point. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
And there's...
You know what it was?
It was probably the TA.
No, that's what I'm going to tell you what it was. They had him set it up
Probably.
And because they don't know... Because they were two older professors, so they were probably like...
I get it.
Right, and that's probably what happened.
Yo, like... And there's so many issues, like... I'm never going to give a pass on somebody saying something that is offensive.
Right.
But there's so many issues with even the, like, I'm not going to address this issue with you. I'm going to address it by outing you. Like... What have we solved by outing a professor saying something that I don't actually even consider racist?
We need to talk about that. Why don't you feel it's racist?
Well, no, let's unpack it all first. And then
So basically, after the class, they were both talking, and the professor said that something along the lines of, and I hate to paraphrase because
we'll put it at the bottom of the screen.
Basically, said every year. Every class session when she has students, the black students are always at the bottom.
That's not what she said. That's not
She
what
said,
she said.
There's always one.
She said a lot of them are at the bottom, and then she even went as far as to try to like clarify and say there are some good ones, but a lot of them are at the bottom.
A lot of them are at the bottom. No, she's like a lot of the ones at the bottom are the blacks.
Right.
And then there's
she said
are blacks. Oh,
she didn't say black. It was a plural. I was like, oh,
right. And so
just say black people.
Right.
Black students.
Right.
Now, but then I thought when I first heard it, and then I'd heard it on the news, and I replayed the video, and I read the
transcript.
I read the transcript, and I was like, because here's my problem, right? Georgetown Law fired her. They were appalled by what she said.
Sure.
She apologized. She was going to resign because of what she said. So like everyone involved acknowledged that it was like wrong and racist. Meanwhile, I'm here like, all right, is it though? Because I'm like this, right? This is my thought process. Huh?
We know.
Yeah, I know. So this is my thought process, right? If in my experience, everyone who fails my class is Asian. Right? So I mentioned to a colleague,
right?
Dog.
Actually, let's not use Asian.
No, I'm saying
no. I want to take race out of it. Let's say our boys.
Okay, fine. Take race out of it.
Right.
All the boys who take, I'll do you one better. I'll make it misogynistic a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Like this, like losing misogyny instead of race.
All the boys who take this home ec class fail.
Right.
None of them ever learn any of the things I'm trying to teach. Every single one. Right.
Right.
Maybe one or two gets it, but everyone else does. Now,
what do they identify as?
Now,
stop. This nigga right here.
I couldn't. I wasn't gonna say anything until you said home ec. But anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, right? I say that now. You check my classes, and he's like, "Yeah, that's true. Like, the boys never seem to get it, right?
Most of them just don't."
Is what I said wrong because I said it? Because I'm making an observation based on my experience.
Sure.
It's like how stereotypes are formed.
Right.
Are stereotypes right? No, but typically,
if we're looking at numbers game,
there was somewhere along the line that along those numbers. So if I'm telling you, I'm having a conversation with you, and I'm like, look, and honestly, she didn't even say it like, I'm gonna fail these blacks when they
at all.
She was almost
she felt. It sounded like she felt bad about.
She literally said it gives me such angst because a lot of the lower. It's almost like I don't want to fail them, but then it like because it looks.
But their results are not lining up with what our expectations are.
Right. So I don't know if that's what she meant, or maybe I took it out of context. What did you hear?
First of all, she heard niggas and he heard niggas and
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So here's the thing. It's not always about the things that is said, but the unsaid things.
Okay.
Because when I'm listening to this white woman talking, I'm hearing the things behind her voice.
Okay.
And I'm like, she's saying, yes, all the black people, all these blacks are failing. Okay.
Right.
But I'm also hearing, you know what? And they should. Because that's what I hear. That is what I hear.
Okay.
Listen,
are you using like Dolby 5.1?
Nigga, yes. Here's the thing. It's like
why though?
I don't give white people the benefit of the doubt. I'm sorry.
That's very evident.
I'm sorry. Listen, because white people they've been racist.
Sure.
Right.
And they love to be racist.
Mm-hmm.
And
so,
whenever
let's not make like a broad brush white people of this. Like there are a lot.
Let him finish because I want to hear. I want the unfiltered because I want to hear it.
Yes, unfiltered. And like
I
said what I said. Like, and this is a lot of times what they do.
Right.
But the point is, when she was talking to this other professor, she didn't think anybody else was going to hear other than him.
Right.
And I think that you really can tell a lot about a person when they say what they want to say when they think no one else is listening.
Right.
I agree.
And I feel that just because the way that she was saying it, like I'm a person that operates on how I feel about stuff and the way it made me feel.
Sure.
And the way it made me feel, like just the tone of her voice. And I'm like, that does not quite sit right with me.
Okay. I respect that.
And that's where I go with it. So I'm like, black people have been kicked out of positions for worse. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. Get out of here. Okay? Because whatever. I'm sorry.
There's no need to be sorry.
I gotta say, I 100% disagree with you. Like
that's cool.
because so right. And here's why I disagree. because I did not hear that, right?
Mhm.
And I listened to it. Here was the worst part of it. I listened for that because I was like, I must have missed something,
Right.
because I didn't
Mhm.
get the racism. So I was like, let me play it again. What I heard was a genuine, like, and again, I could be wrong. I could have misread the context. I heard, it gives me such angst, but like, it's when I take the classes, the majority of the lower ones end up being the blacks, and there's a couple who are good. So what I'm getting was like, yo, I don't know what to do when I
Sure.
get these classes.
Sure.
A bunch of the people who fail or who are doing the lowest in the class end up being, like, literally end up being the black kids. And from a standpoint of a white person, of a white teacher, you almost, especially in today's culture, you almost don't want to fail the black kids.
Right.
But now it's like,
But I
really
have to, right?
Like, I
mean,
really wish y'all did better, because you're literally getting the 50.
Right.
I would like to, and so now when I'm giving you these failing grades,
Sure.
it looks like I'm doing it on purpose,
Right.
but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get what you got, and like I said, I was listening for that, because I was like, I didn't get what, because again, I did not get what the.
Not only did I not get that, so I mean, y'all already know me. Like, I'm benefit of doubt all day. I didn't even look that far as you did. Like, I listened to it, I think twice.
Okay.
I forgot about even the angst part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very literal person in general.
Mm-hmm.
Once I realized that when she was talking, it didn't sound like there was vitriol.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound like that. So like, I was like, all right, so I don't have to be concerned about her being just a negative person in general. I just listened to the words themselves, and I heard her say, and I was very intentional about hearing what she was saying. And she was like, yo, a lot of them are at the bottom of the course pretty much, but then there's some whatever. And the part that just confused me and made me think like there's clearly more to this than just what's in here is like, not only is she being outed for saying something racist, which again I don't agree with, but it's a law professor as well. And I'm like, you understand the law more than anyone else.
And so
I didn't think about that.
Right. And so that's why I felt like I must be missing something.
I have to be missing something.
Because the school, all right. I hate to say what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it. And no.
Am I gonna enjoy this?
This is God's unpacked.
I don't know.
Is he gonna enjoy this?
I don't know if y'all are or not. I just don't know. It has been my experience that oftentimes young black kids make everything anti-black.
100%.
So because of that, when the kids complain, I don't immediately, and maybe I should believe them, but I don't, because I'm like, no, I need to hear what actually happened.
Sure.
Because I'm going to say in my experience, about 50-50, it's bullshit. When I say bullshit, I mean like, okay, you can be upset, but did you look at all the stuff you did that got you here?
Right.
So anyway, so to hear that the kids complain, I was not going to take that by
immediately.
You mean the TikTok kids, right?
No, not the TikTok kids. I'm talking about the students
the students
of this law were the ones that made the complaints, and they were like, "Oh, this is absolute." Like they made a big stink about it, right? It was when the university was like, "No, absolutely," and immediately fired her. I was like, hang on, let me go re-listen.
I was good with them calling her comments abhorrent, because I do. This is one thing I will say, and it kind of talks to what you were saying. Like, I don't actually have a problem with her being candid, because she doesn't think she's being listened to other than by the person. Because I do believe that there needs to be a space where people can be completely unfiltered.
Absolutely.
It's just necessary, right?
I agree with that.
And like, this is not to make white people the victim, but they're in a space where they more or less are censored, because essentially almost anything they say, even if it's in the idea of trying to understand more, like if they say anything that even comes across offensive, you're racist, right? So it's like,
so when you're teaching a class,
so it's really difficult, like, for anyone to even try to do better if everything you say is looked at as racist. Hold on. So there's that part, right? She's talking to somebody, not realizing she's being recorded. So fine, right? But aside from that, I'm just like, nothing was wrong with what she said.
No.
Personally.
All right.
Okay. I all your valid. Valid points. A lot of things that you guys are saying are valid. I get it, especially the law professor thing. I get it.
Right.
And you saying you're like, I get it.
And so, actually, sorry, because I just realized I didn't finish the actual point. Right. So it's like I was fine with the university labeling what she said as abhorrent because like it was very callous. Like the way she said it was very flippant. And it wasn't even like it wasn't leaning too negative, but it was just leaning a little bit negative. Right. My bigger issue, and this is kind of to what Rich was saying, like I had a problem with why are we letting her go though? Like there's one thing if she's out here actively fucking people over. It's a whole other thing when somebody leaks a video of her speaking in private, and again, not even saying anything super fucking negative, right? And then still justifying this cancel culture by being like, all right, we're gonna fire her because like we cannot be a brand of having racist professors. Like that's just problematic to me.
I got you.
So
you go ahead.
So one of the things, I in this moment, I'm realizing like some of the things that I'm thinking about is like with her there. Like I went to a white school. I went to University of Virginia. Okay, and I was in these classrooms with these white professors a lot of the times, and a lot of times they would say things just like this professor is saying. Okay. And those things resonate with me right there. So it's like I'm looking at it from that lens, from that frame of reference.
That makes sense.
So it's like when she says this, I'm like, okay, whereas HBCU, you went to Howard.
I went to Howard.
Okay,
so that is not even remotely concerned about.
But it's like you didn't necessarily have to think about those things. I'm thinking about that when I see these white professors doing these things and saying these things, and that's the frame of reference that I'm taking it from. So it's like, you know what? Maybe she wasn't being malice. Maybe she wasn't being malicious. Okay, but a lot of times it's not about what the intent was, but how it was received. Okay, you can go to your girl, you can go to your woman and be like, say something, and you didn't mean any malicious malice toward her, but if she takes it a certain way, I mean,
so take it.
Are we breaking up because of that, or are we gonna have a conversation because of that?
Because hold on, to use that example, right? You and your boy are talking, and you happen to be like, yo, Shorty is so difficult to shop for because everything I buy she don't like, and I just can't. It annoys the shit out of me every time I go shopping for her because I'll bring it, and then she's like, oh, it's on that. And so you're talking shit about her, but you're talking with your boy in a space that you believe
this is good.
It's safe.
I like this. I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
And then she hears it.
I'm like, how does she hear it? Because I'm like,
doesn't matter. She called and your phone. You didn't realize your phone.
You butt dialed her.
You butt dialed her or something. So she's hearing you now. You're not admitted to cheating.
Right.
You're not calling her out her name.
Sure.
You're not saying anything along those lines, but you are voicing a complaint about her that in your mind is legitimate.
Right.
Is that grounds for her to leave?
No.
Right. So on that same note, right? Because I just wanted to know. All this woman was doing from what I saw was voicing what she deemed was a legitimate issue. And the issue was not even blaming the students. She was saying, and she was making an observation that it has been my experience that when the ones who end up on the lower end of my classes
are black students. Yeah.
And for me, and again, I'm not quite Zen Dre, but I'm also I'm a literal person. You know that. I'm beyond being literal.
Right.
I need to see the information. So if you come to me like, okay, this is what you said, right?
Right.
Show me some statistics. Because honestly, if you can show me in the last 3-4 classes you've taught this to be true,
what the issue is,
then I physically cannot hold that against you because you were
not only that, and I hate to cut you off.
And now,
the issue is not hers.
Right? No,
the issue is admissions at this point in time.
And that's what I was going to get to because now what we have is an issue where we need to figure out, okay,
how do we get the right students in this class?
Or maybe it might even be the right students. Okay. How do we fix how they're being taught? Because it might be an instructional. I'm just saying.
I see you saying.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that now we have a bigger issue to deal with. If you're telling me all of this,
I was looking at the path that made more sense. Like I was like, we've got to clearly start getting the
Right,
and I
and
hate to
that-
say
and
it,
that's-
like
right.
the better black students in.
Right, and that
Then like,
and honestly,
Not
because-
even the better.
No. When I say the better, so the reason
I
why
know
I say
where
this,
you're going. I know
right,
where you're going,
like
right.
if Harvard Law, right,
is only letting in black students,
right, or Georgetown Law or whatever these prestigious law schools are deemed prestigious for a reason.
Mhm.
Changing your curriculum based off of the students that are coming in can potentially
And I'm not
water
saying, right.
down.
And I'm not even saying
What-
prestige.
I'm not saying
I say can potentially. That's why I said potentially.
and I'm not saying change the curriculum. What I'm saying is,
or
we can
change
do
the
this.
way we teach them.
but listen, we deal with this from two aspects, right?
Okay.
You're correct. We may want to look at our admissions policy because it might be that we are just letting black students in because we need to have a certain number of
Quotas,
black,
right?
right? And because of that, the people that we're letting in may not necessarily even be the best student. I'm not saying they aren't. I'm just
Sure.
saying, let's say hypothetically,
Right.
I did the research and I found this, that
Right.
the black students tend to be graduating at a lower rate with lower scores, right? So now I have to look at A, what's our admissions policy? B, is the way we are instructing, because there is a disconnect,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Mhm.
If, to your example, when you had a bunch of white teachers who may not be able to relate, so they may not, and I'm not saying that black people and white people cannot comprehend the same way, but I'm
Right.
just saying if my
Experiences are different.
right,
So,
if my
right.
instructors cannot convey the information to you in a way that you're getting it,
yeah.
it might just be, and I'm not saying that's an easy fix.
No, but
What
I
I'm
hear
saying
you.
is these are all. If I determine that your statement
Right.
was not factually incorrect,
Right.
now I need to figure out which avenue I need
Yeah.
to take to address the bigger problem. But instead,
Yeah.
I fired you. I continue along things, and
Right.
black kids are still failing left and right.
Here's my thing, and this is the reason. Like, I really don't want to beat this horse, but like I think it needs to be said because there's
Right.
so many instances where we're talking.
You
about,
don't got to keep saying you don't want to beat the horse. I can
oh,
cut and
oh,
not.
Yeah.
Pause.
That's the
You're
point of
so
editing,
stupid.
though.
You're so
Right.
But like, because we've talked about, not us, but in general, we've talked about quotas
Mhm.
and getting schools, whatever. And then of course there've been like white people who've been like, I'm being discriminated against because
Right,
whatever,
right.
right?
Because
Right,
affirmative
right.
action was a big thing, right?
When I look at this as, now this is me putting my consultant hat on. When I look at this as a real issue, like you're not going to appease everyone. I think the easiest way, or even not the easiest, the best way is to then start having partnerships, because all right, we're not talking about Georgetown undergrad, right? We're talking about Georgetown Law.
Right.
So it's like
So
at this point, honestly, I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt. If you graduated undergrad,
Right.
no matter where you went, and you are applying to Georgetown Law, you do not get a pass to go in there.
Right. You
You need to be equipped to be in that class.
You need to have had a certain score on the LSAT just to even.
Right. So it's like, so when you look at it from that standpoint, I'm like, all right, if we know that our professors teach this way, to kind of take to your point, if it's a case that we want to make sure we get students who we can,
Then maybe we want to get different.
We have partnerships with schools and be like, all right, where do we normally get our people applying, our applicants? Maybe we need to have some partnerships with those schools, their undergrad,
Right.
and be like, all right, like there's a pipeline. So if you went to Howard and you want to go to Harvard, the pipeline to go to Harvard is you need to take these classes with these professors,
right.
like something. But like to me, that's a balance. But like I think that to bring it all the way back, to fire somebody because they said something that sounded objective, not subjective, is problematic in itself.
And so, why I say maybe you and I are wrong, and if you don't reason I say that, maybe you and I are wrong, because the way they reacted, maybe there was something we missed.
Like
she must have called somebody a nigga.
You know what though? I'm gonna take it just back to how whenever we see videos of police shootings, right? Everybody always says, "Well, I need to see the rest of the video." Okay, but the people always get in trouble for whatever wasn't on the video. So what's gonna happen is, maybe there was more to the video, and I don't give a shit.
No,
and
look, that's what I was thinking. I was like, so you had the whole recording, and this is the only part that I was like, was there not more? Because here's the problem with them with there not being more. The more may have been less incriminating, or it may have given some context to what she said.
And we already know that the media loves clickbait. So they would have done it.
So they're gonna give you the 30 seconds that looks horrible,
right? And that wasn't horrible to me.
Bro, so
I was like, I wanted to give her a hug. I was like, the fact that she had to write a statement, and I'm gonna say have to, because I don't believe that she really thought that she needed to make this. I think that it ends up being like self-preservation. even though I'm leaving Georgetown at this point in time, I want to still work. So I'm tainted goods at this point in time.
Right.
I feel like just like everyone else, she put out the statement.
Bro, she's not tainted goods. There's schools out in
When-
Kentucky
when I-
and Tennessee.
yeah,
I
get it.
She be alright. She be alright.
You don't like niggers? Come down here. We got
With the hard ER.
But
The hard ER.
but don't get it twisted though. Like,
no, I'm just playing.
right. But like the entire country is moving in the space of we can't be known for it, even if we are known for it. We can't be like actively known. Think about homegirl who the cheerleader, right? Like we can't be known for it. So
no, I'm not saying no, bro.
So yeah,
I'm saying the entire country, but for some places though. So all right, y'all.
Good conversation.
We beat that one a little harder than I thought we were going to.
Come on,
Pause.
dog. Come on, dog. Stop. Oh man.
That's going on the highlight reel right there.
Why?
I'm a man child, okay? I'm a man child, and I know it. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, yo. Joseph
Robinette.
First, no. It's Moneybag
Bag
Joe.
Moneybag Joe. Moneybag Joe.
Which, by the way, since we doing names, y'all know I am Dre McConnell.
Dre McConnell.
Moneybag Joe.
Yo. Let me say, first of all. So before we even get into the address, one thing I need people to remember. Please, like, I want people to. You like who you like, don't like who you don't like, right?
Sure.
There's no secret that I was not a fan of the last 4 years, right? But I saw someone post something along the lines of kind of criticizing the former guy and praising Joe.
The former guy.
and praising Joe Biden first. I'm like, guys, y'all forget that he gave y'all 12 at the start of the pandemic.
Sure.
And was advocating for 2.
Right.
It was actually McConnell who stopped all of that. So
all of it.
So we're gonna be fair in our assessment of what things are going. Like some of what's happening.
We're adults.
Right. Some of what is happening was a result of things that started under the former administration.
For sure.
So it's not like Joe Biden came into office and miraculously created some of what's happening.
Right.
Anyway, that was the comparison. Now the contrast.
Okay.
Old Joe Beasy did a press did his first primetime address. Right. Where he 50 days into his administration, and we're at our coronaversary, and he decided to talk about where we are and his because the $1.9 trillion rescue plan just got passed.
Correct.
He's so
fiscal,
mad about it.
Fiscal conservative Dre McConnell over here.
So mad.
No, we're gonna call him Andre McConnell.
Fam, let me tell you something. let me. I'll be honest with you. I don't care what ticket you run. If you ever ran for Congress, I'm voting for the other guy.
Right. Me too, dog.
Immediate. Because I know. Honestly, because I know how you feel about spending. I'm voting for the other guy. Immediately. Like, Democrat, Republican, Independent. I'll be like, oh no, I gotta vote.
I'm offended.
I hear you. I'm still not voting for the other guy.
Listen.
Zero.
Listen. We're not Republicans who vote against our own interests.
Right, bro.
Because we would be voting against our own interests if we voted for you.
Because we know you get in office. Where's this money coming from? How is it good? Who's spending it? They want what? Absolutely not. I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad.
Incorrigible. Incorrigible.
Absolutely not. No. That's gonna be Dre. Dre gonna get his full waddle over again. We're absolutely not.
I'm not that bad. No, I actually believe that I'm more balanced, right? Like I'm all for spending.
You are. You are balanced until it gets to spending.
No. When I say balance, even for spending, right? Like, and I know we'll eventually get this. Matter of fact, pause on that. Let's talk about the address.
We'll get back. Right. I was gonna let you explain.
Let's talk about the address first.
Right. So, bottom line, Joe Biden gave his first address in prime time. Right. Did everyone watch it? At least.
Of course. Yep.
What'd y'all think of it?
Listen, after the last 4 years, I'm glad to see boring address.
Bruh,
with substance.
I'm glad.
That is all I wanted.
Yo.
Boring substantive.
I am glad that politics has gotten boring again in general.
Sure.
Exactly,
But-
man.
So I enjoyed it. I was actually surprised for like the first 10 minutes. He was actually more energetic in the first 10 minutes than I expected.
He's old.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is I expected like how he ended it.
Right.
I expected that to be the beginning to the end,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like he started off, I was like,
I'm not saying he's old.
Joe got some pep in his step. Like, I was like,
Right.
He's old. Listen,
Right.
dog. Took
Yeah.
a shot of espresso as he walked out,
Bruh.
and then it died down. Like
so,
I got
and I loved. So before we got to the stimulus piece of it, I loved. I don't care. I loved how he was very honest about where we are. But then sprinkled hope in there, right? Like it was the whole idea of like, look, we got to set real expectations here.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If we continue doing the things we're doing right now, here is somewhere where we can be. But we've got to continue doing what we're doing.
Right.
Exactly.
Like if you start wilding out,
Right.
this gets pushed out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So by being able to say, you know, if we continue doing this and we get everybody vaccinated by July 4th, it's something for people to look forward to.
Right.
Like to me, that's what a leader is supposed to do.
Right.
And granted, he may not have come up with any of it. Like either way,
It doesn't matter.
and that's
Right.
the thing. Like his
It doesn't
administration
matter.
and
Yeah.
his
Let me-
speech writers put it together, and it made sense. To me, it worked, and I like
Right.
that.
So let me tell you just to touch on the address before we move on to the rest of it. It was such a departure from the last 4 because because to be honest, like I enjoy politics, right? Like I don't
Sure.
just watch it because of the like.
Right.
I actually like the inner workings of it and pay attention to it. So like when I
too,
get
man.
into some of these debates and discussions with people,
You can tell when people don't don't do the research.
and that's when I stop because I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So anyway, so like
why he censor himself like he can't say this shit?
right,
Like,
because it's like I don't want to. Anyway, so because
It's okay.
you know when you sense yourself getting upset and you have to
Yeah.
like kind of dial it back. So anyway, so as somebody who actually pays attention to a lot of this stuff, right? What you said is absolutely right. No president, most presidents, most people are idea people. When you get to the position of president,
Sure.
you're appointing people around you who are going to do the things that make you look good, right?
Right.
Who are going to take your ideas and make them reality. So you got speech writers,
Sure.
you got chief of staff, people in your administration,
Right,
etc.
right.
So the problem with the last 4 years was you had this guy who didn't know any of it, and he would just come out there.
Say whatever you want.
So
With his long ass tie.
right,
No, like as a guy who
Right.
loves suiting, that used to bother me
Yo,
every time. I was like,
yo,
why is your tie so fucking long?
Like, yo, like that
Jesus
dude would be.
Christ!
and you know the worst part about it was he's been rich his whole life. His whole
He ain't never
life.
had a tailor.
Right. His whole anyway, I don't want to talk about him. Right. So I did like I watched the whole speech. I didn't think it was boring, honestly.
It wasn't.
Because I thought that everything you said, he took a very measured approach. He spoke to people. He
Right,
started
right.
talking about like,
Right.
you know, hugging your grandparents and blah blah blah, like things. So it was not like, hey, I'm gonna come in and give you the science and numbers. It was like, no,
Right.
I need to speak to you in terms that you can understand
Sure.
because I'm gonna leave the science and the numbers to Fauci and the other guys.
Right.
Nope, they're
I'm
the
not,
doctors.
I'm not that guy.
I'm not
Right,
that guy.
right.
I'm gonna speak to you plain simple.
He knows
English.
his strengths.
Right. Here's what is affecting you. Here's what we are doing to fix it. Right.
Right.
End of story. He used a lot of I's. He did take a lot of credit for a lot of stuff. And I'm
He
like,
used the word hyperbole twice.
he used the word.
I was like,
right.
the first time I heard it, I was like, okay,
Right.
use a good word. And I was like, oh, you just said it twice.
But
and that's
so,
not a word you use twice in the same
Right.
speech.
And so part of the problem,
This
I
is
mean,
this guy.
honestly,
It just isn't.
but he used it, but both times it.
I mean, it
was-
worked. It
right,
worked.
But I agree with you. No, I
Yeah,
agree
it's
with you, I
like
agree with
it's
you.
like you use that like
Right.
nice word,
Right,
but it's
I
like
agree
this,
with you.
the,
And
the
then-
moment you say it again,
Right.
it's like, oh.
And then he did, like I said, he took a lot of personal credit for a lot of things that were clearly joint efforts,
Right.
and a lot of those joint efforts started before you.
Well
like,
before him.
so
But that's okay though.
Every president does it.
every president does it, right?
Right.
So, and this is me trying to be as fair in my assessment of Biden as I was about the other guy, because I'm like, I'm not just gonna give you credit because you're different from the other guy, but in reality, it was a good speech. I did like the timetables that were realistic,
Sure.
Right.
and like you said, hey, I still need y'all to do some of this shit. And
Right.
Wear
honestly,
masks.
and let's be real, had the other guy did anything even remote, he'd still be president.
Facts. Without a
Like,
doubt. Without a
right.
doubt.
He did any-
Right.
Even close to it, like once, he'd still be president. But
Facts.
so Now we get to the $1.9 trillion.
Listen, this guy's fiscal conservative over here. But whatever.
Let's hear your take.
Listen, I like this stimulus. One, because people are hurting and people need the help. Okay? We've been in a fucking pandemic for a fucking year. Some people haven't worked at all. Okay?
I agree.
And some of those people have kids, and some of them need money for those kids. Okay?
I agree.
You know, it's crazy that there's people who have not worked
all year. So it's like, I don't care how much it costs. I think that this is a good plan for the people because the economy is not going to recover without people. Nothing's going to recover without people. This guy.
I got to hear it.
I got to hear it. I know what he's thinking too. I know what he's thinking.
I got to hear it. All right, go ahead, Drake.
I know what he's thinking.
No, go ahead, Drake. Go ahead, Drake.
No. We know what he's thinking.
Let it go. No, go ahead, Drake. Go ahead, Drake. You got it.
No.
I want to.
I'll
finish my point.
I think that you should finish your point, and then you should talk, and then I'll talk at the end. Honestly.
I don't have no point.
Okay, then after he finishes.
Okay. So a lot of people say, okay, well, we don't have money for this, or where are we getting the money from? The thing is, they don't ask that when they got money for war. They don't ask that when they got money for the things that they want to do.
Facts.
Like Republicans, no Republican voted for this.
None.
Right. Not a single one.
Keep in mind, and they all voted. 200 something of them voted for the Trump tax cuts.
Exactly.
For the wealthy. But go ahead.
It's all partisan. Okay.
Sure.
Like just because it's the other guy's idea, the other guy's administration. Okay, we can't support it, okay?
Right.
But if your guy had come in and had this exact same plan that was $1.9 trillion,
now, in fairness,
you would be all for it.
In fairness.
You don't think so?
Right, listen. In fairness, a bunch of Democrats would not have voted for it because of
the exact same reason.
Right.
Exactly. But it's the partisan nature of
it. So here's the only thing I'll say is an issue with the example you just brought up is that he would have never said that. So, like, the other guy
would
have never proposed this particular bill.
No.
And so that's all I'm saying. So him proposing it, I don't think that because
he would not.
The Republicans have been like, dog, that goes against everything that we stand for.
He would not have proposed this. However, what he proposed was something that fell in line with, and you're right, it would have fell more in line with Republican ideals. And then the Democrats would have voted against it. And I think that part of the problem, and it's part of the problem, like what Hogan was talking about, is there needs to be, and this is the thing that loses a lot of us. And by us, I mean the average citizen who is not as informed, right?
Right.
Someone says they're going to do A, and then they propose A. And A doesn't happen the way they propose it because they're like, oh, well, these politicians always tell you blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, because A had to go through the House.
Right.
And the House had to take stuff out and add stuff just to get it approved.
Right.
Then that had to go to the Senate, and the Senate was like, oh, we don't like any of this. And then they play around with it and send it back to the House. And then finally, when they get something that all of the members agree on, it lands on your desk, and you're like, this wasn't any of what I put in there. So now you might say, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think because people are so unfamiliar with the process, when the thing I can say while I'm running, I'm going to do this, right? That doesn't mean...
Whatever you want to say.
Right. That don't mean this is going to happen. It's not that the promise wasn't there, because I can write this verbatim.
Right.
But by the time it gets through those 500-something members of the House and those 100 members of the Senate, it's going to be something that is going to be down the middle. Correct. There's compromises that have to be made.
So here's why I was laughing, and let me actually back.
I appreciate you laughing when I'm talking.
I was just about to say I should not have been laughing while you were talking.
That's disrespectful. It's okay though.
It's
okay though. We on camera.
But we boys, so we boys. All right, so
I caught that shit though.
It was funny. All right, so
the Scrooge McDray came.
Right, wasn't it though?
So this is actually I think perfect though because it goes against what you guys were saying before. Mm-hmm. So it's not solely that I'm fiscally responsible. I think that being fiscally responsible is important, but
conservative.
So I'm definitely not conservative. Like I'm not.
You
like,
don't think so?
You're
I'm
okay.
not.
I'm
not.
waiting.
I'm way more centrist than conservative, and I actually lean left more than right. But
on
that,
most things.
but no, on everything.
Okay.
I said lean.
Okay.
I didn't say that I am. Like I lean, right?
Center left?
No. All right. So finish your statement.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Everything you said actually makes sense, and I 100% agree with you. Right? Like there are people that are out there that have not worked since this entire thing, and I think that the main difference between somebody like me and your average Republican is that let's backtrack.
You're not a Republican though.
No.
Right.
Okay.
So
all right.
that's why.
No, because the way you just said
right. No,
it, you said it as if you were the Republican.
But the reason why I said it that way is because you all love to link me in to Republicans, which is fine. No.
I mean, if the shoe fits.
No, hear me out. Like, I don't actually mind. Like I don't care.
I
Like so, my bigger point is this though, right? Like I can say wholeheartedly that I've been fortunate to have worked the entire time.
Right.
I have the kind of job that normally I would be traveling for work every single week. I haven't had to, and I've still been able to maintain my work. Not only that, I've been able to do some work with one of the states that were handling unemployment.
Oh wow, okay.
Right? So I'm actually getting to see firsthand how some of this stuff trickles down from the federal all the way down to the states, right? So I can say that like when it comes down to it, I can be in a place where I have the means and I can see that people who don't have the means are affected. Right. So I'm not going to sit here I'm not going to be the one pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
Knowing that I have boots and you don't have boots, right?
Right.
So there's that piece which I think is really important, right? Where my issue comes in is less about actually even the dollar figure. It can be the same. How much is 1 point what?
1.9 trillion.
It can be the same 1.9 trillion. That's not what I'm really concerned about. What I'm concerned about is how it's actually being dispersed, right? Okay. Because here's the thing. Someone being unemployed in the state of Kentucky for the entire year and someone being unemployed in the state of California for the entire year,
two totally
in my opinion, should not get the exact same benefits. And not because one is more important than the other, but the cost of living in California is higher than you know what I mean? Right. So that's more of my issue. It's like I hear these numbers and I'm like, all right, cool. From a conceptual standpoint, great. Right. And I'm also coming from a communication standpoint, like because I've done this. Right. Like I know what sounds good. I know how to write speeches. I know how to put together bullet points to sound good. But I'm like, when you use a number instead of a percentage, it's because it sounds better. When you use a percentage instead of a number, it sounds better.
No,
you know what I mean?
Like, and not only does it sound better,
that makes sense.
Here's the thing: not only does it sound better, it's easier to deal with.
You see what I'm saying?
However, where I disagree with what you're saying is this. Okay. The addressing, you have to remember, the federal government is going to deal with things on the level that they deal with things. Sure. Meaning, we are taking care of it. Because let's be real. $1,200 when it was $1,200, that ain't nothing. That's, for most people, that's a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not covering, but it's what we can do. It's when we, because remember, the 1.9 trillion was not just for that relief package. There was way more. Bunch of other things in there. But it's like, hey,
it's the PPP loans.
Right. So we need to get some money to the people. So we'll do $1,200. Then it became a second one where it was supposed to be $6,000. Then they talked about $2,000, blah, blah. But the bottom line is they're doing a number because you got to remember with all of the other math they have to do. Sure. Now, when you talk about the difference between like living in Kentucky and living in California, those states have to deal with their unemployment. Right. And how they deal with and so
but it's blanket though. So like that $300 that's in this package. Right. But remember, the same $300 that unemployment's gonna get in Cali versus
remember that $300 was the additional. So so your unemployment, the government is saying, because remember, unemployment was typically like what, 50% of what you were making? No. Right? No.
That's not how unemployment
what was unemployment?
So unemployment it's not broken down that way, and I don't think we have the space to truly break it down. But I'll say this, based off the project that I'm working on right now, right? Like each state has a different weekly benefit amount.
Right. So stop right there. Right. So I know for this area, because I don't know each state's, right?
Right.
But I believe it was like 50% of what you were making was like what they would try to calculate out for your unemployment, right? Let's say
that's not the case, but go ahead.
Right. So let's say it was that, right?
Sure.
Because you have different information than what I have.
Mm-hmm.
So if the state is calculating this, what the government was doing was supplementing what the state was giving you, because the state's unemployment was basically to try to kind of get you from one job to the next, like to try to help you out.
Sure.
We're acknowledging that there is no one job to the next right now. This may take longer. So what the government was saying was, in addition to what the state is giving you, the state is giving you what they would typically give you, whatever that percentage was, whether that was 50, 25, whatever.
Right.
We're going to add to that. We're going to put a little bit more on top,
right,
to try to help you out, because we understand that this is not the Band-Aid that unemployment typically was. This is a more longer term thing.
Sure.
So from a federal standpoint, it's easier, and in my opinion, a little more sensible to say, look, whatever your state's giving you is going to be based on the percentages, and we are going to add to that single number.
Sure.
Here it is.
Sure. So okay. So, and I hate to Monday morning quarterback, but I think I can do it in this particular situation, because this is technically the third time we're going through this, because there was an original stimulus bill, and then there was like an addendum to that last year. And then now this new one under Biden, right? So again, I'm less focused on the dollar amount itself and more focused on how it's being dispersed. Like when I say dollar amount, I want the overall dollar amount, because all right, so to kind of correct where you're coming from without like digging too deep, it's all based off of like the median income, right? So the problem with looking at it from that standpoint is, if you have a $1 million earner, right? So let's say we have 3 people, to keep it real simple. Have a $1 million earner.
I understand what median means.
Right. No, not that part. I'm talking.
I was about to break down median.
No. Right. To keep it simple, right? The $1 million earner, you have a $100 earner, and then you have a $100,000 earner, right? So if you look at all of that together, the median income ends up being extraordinarily higher because of that $1 million earner, as a result, right? So just to kind of look at it from that context, there are people who clearly help to bring up the median, right? And I think that ends up being a bigger impact on whatever that number is than the maybe even many people who bring it down, who are making little. But like the big earners ends up being a case though where you create a condition where people see that they make more money on unemployment than they make without being on unemployment.
Right. Now let me stop you. Hang on. I completely agree with what you're saying, right? Except for this. Not even except for this. I agree with what you're saying. Here's why I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
Typically, if I'm in a state where that $1 million earner is bringing up the median.
Sure.
And I have a bunch of $100 earners.
Yep.
There's a high probability now that those $100 earners are probably living below the poverty line to live in that state. With that $1 million earner. So that means that they should have already been making more. So if they hang on. Right. So if
I got some debunk all
if unemployment is what is if unemployment is what is getting them to a living wage,
without a doubt,
then the bigger, more systemic problem is
why don't these people make enough money?
Okay, so
why is it the minimum wage?
No, let's not go there yet. Okay. Because I agree that is a valid point.
We were going.
That's a valid point, right? But if it was done state by state, that would make more sense. It would be more work, but it would make more sense.
Yeah.
But because we're working at the federal level, now we're talking about 50 states with completely different living incomes versus cost of living, all these other things, right? So what ends up happening is, from a conceptual standpoint, sure, it makes sense. But when you take that and go across the board, it is essentially like how we have 2 senators for every state versus whatever number of congressional numbers per every state, right?
You're
Congressional number,
overcomplicating this.
right? No,
Right.
I'm not though. And
He's telling us how to watch works instead of time it is.
No. But here's why though, right?
Mhm.
If we took that the exact same concept that's being used right now for the stimulus, it at least when it comes to unemployment in particular, right? That is essentially saying that Congress doesn't matter, Senate matters because it's going to be the same amount for everybody, no matter what. And
Right,
that's where my
right.
issue is.
And here's
So
go ahead. No, you got it.
here's the point I want to make. All of these things that you're talking about, Dre, they all make sense on a macro level. Okay,
That's where I operate.
I know you do. However, the level that where we are right now is in a pandemic. Okay, and the things that is happening in this stimulus bill can't be applied to our economy and as a whole because we are in extenuating circumstances.
Oh, I'll even.
And the things that you're talking about right now, yes, they might make sense in a time where we aren't in a global pandemic, where people haven't been working, where more people haven't been working because of what's happening. All right. Now, if you say, okay, there's no pandemic, they do this stimulus bill.
Mhm.
I understand what you're saying, but yeah.
But I'll take it a step further. Here's why I disagree with what you just said. Right?
Okay.
You are acting as though not acting. You're saying it like the federal level is trying to address state level problems. It's not.
No, I didn't say that they were.
No.
I said it would make more sense if they did it that way.
Right, and I'm saying it doesn't because
Okay.
the states are still handling their actual unemployment. Right. So
yes,
the states,
but the dollar amounts that they actually provide to this to the state, right? Like to each citizen or resident of the state, has nothing to do with the state. It has to do with what the federal government is giving.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, and that's my point. So from a federal, because Dre, they're doing $300 extra.
Dog,
right?
like
Think about it.
That's $300 per week until September. Like,
right.
let's not sit here and act like $300 is like.
I'm not acting like it's nothing.
That's a private membership.
Right. No, you're right. Dog, look, that's $1,200 a month, right?
That is a lot of money for some people.
Right.
It is.
Right. So there's some states where $1,200 a month is your whole mortgage and food.
Sure.
And some states where it don't even crack the mortgage, right?
Right.
Or the rent.
Right.
Where we live.
Right. So what the state is gonna do, what the federal government is doing is they're trying to find because remember that number has jumped up and down.
Sure,
it was 600 at one point.
For a while.
Right. It was 600, then it went down to 3, then they tried to get it to 4, and they came up with a number that they decided, look, made sense. From a federal standpoint, they just need a median number because they're depending, like, as far as the sliding scale, the states are going to handle that. We need a number, and that's all I'm saying. Like, I'm with you. I'm with you guys. Like, I get it. So, which is why my point on it was that if I'm in Congress, right, and I know we need something quickly because you have to remember there's a certain level of expedience that has to be attached to this. So if you're telling me, hey, Rich, we need you to calculate a number for each state, I'm like, can we not just give all the states one number that kind of falls in the middle? Be like, which will get done on Monday and which will take till May? Yeah. Okay. Don't get it twisted. Like, median number is Monday. Calculating each one, they won't get a check till May. Don't get it twisted. If I was actually in Congress, as much as y'all say y'all wouldn't vote for me, if I was actually in Congress, right, like I was gonna vote for the bill. I'm not talking about vote for the bill. I'm saying when I say I wouldn't vote for you, I'm just. I know that's just you're always being silly. I'm not because I wouldn't vote for you. But
I wouldn't either.
Like, right, I'm not.
I wouldn't either.
Nobody's
right. Who else is voting for you?
Like I'm not actually.
You would be surprised.
But no,
you would be surprised. First of all, not only will people like I would get so many bipartisan people voting for me because
absolutely
I appeal to more than just
you do. Absolutely. You will get votes from both sides. You won't get my vote.
That's fine.
That's fine.
So, and you wouldn't go to Soka. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll be in Soka, and you would be in Vail. Actually, you wouldn't be in Vail. Where would you be? At home sleeping.
No, I can get. I will go to a fete that is letting in black people. That's what I will do.
Anyway.
But look,
so I think
I go to We Culture.
My bigger issue. You said what? What did you say?
Right.
Did you just say, dog? Did you just say what I thought you just said?
Where my shit? Excuse me. What did I bring?
Dog.
Which bottle?
I can say this. You will never be included in. If you enjoyed this, make sure you check out all our full episodes on YouTube at Guys Unpacked.
Also available anywhere you get your podcast, and follow us on all social media at Guys Unpacked.